Hi, welcome to No Ordinary Woman Chat Show. I'm your host, Ms. Kazmak.
And I'm Janelle Rayburn.
Hope you guys are having an amazing Sunday. Now, guys, if you watched our last episode of Now What is Mental Health, we are going to be continuing from that series. This is part 2. So we do have a special guest on the show with us right now. But before we get started, how are you doing, Janelle?
I'm good, thank you, Kaz. Yeah, it's been a good week, so I'm looking forward to the show today.
Yes. Okay, so let me go straight in. So 13 weeks ago, Yvette Redmond tragically lost her daughter, Leighane, and her only granddaughter, Sadie, in what would be considered an avoidable circumstances. Following several months of mental ill health, Leighane sadly took her life and her daughter's life, Sadie. Yvette repeated efforts to save them, because obviously she tried to get help for them. Yvette noticed that her daughter was not well and tried desperately to get help through all channels possible. However, at every turn, she was bruised aside, despite this horrific loss. However, Yvette as courageously campaigning for her family's voice to be heard. And last episode, she attended our special live event, which focused on mental health awareness. So she bravely shared her story there.
That's right. A very, very brave and courageous woman, and, her family as well. But, a lot of the time, Kaz, a lot of the discussion around mental health is focused on individuals who have been personally impacted. But the question is, what about the families and friends who have to live with and support these individuals? You know what, they suffer too, and I think Yvette's, a clear example of that. The sad thing is, all too often, they're overlooked, and their pleas for help aren't taken seriously, not as seriously as they should be. Well, today, we have invited Yvette back on, as Kaz mentioned, and her family on the show to share their story in more detail, to help raise awareness, so that voices such as theirs can be heard going forward.
Okay, so thank you, Yvette. Thank you, Tim, for joining us today on our chat show. First and foremost, we would like to sincerely offer our condolences to you and the family on your loss. So, I know, obviously, you shared on our last episode of Now What is Mental Health, you shared your story, but for the viewers that may not have actually watched that episode, do you mind just sharing what happened?
I noticed changes in my daughter, really subtle changes in Leighane. Over the month, she was making serious allegations against people, family members, friends. She started to lose her friends, accusing friends of poisoning her drink. She lost an awful amount of weight in a very short space of time. And then 2 days before Christmas, she called me up. She was crying inconsolably, couldn't stop her from crying. She was saying, they're coming to kill me, they're going to kill me. I was saying, who's going to kill you? So obviously I went straight to her house. We had several hours of her just rambling about sandwiches falling out of the sky and rainbows and miracles that were happening. It was really strange behaviour. The TV had been removed from the living room. She'd taped it up in cling film, taped up her laptop, the cameras. She said people were watching her, people were going to kill her, people were hacking her Facebook accounts and things like that. She was convinced she had HIV. She threatened that she was going to kill herself on the 29th of December if the HIV hadn't killed her by then. She was going to kill herself, and she was going to shoot an aunt that she blamed for this, that had paid people to ruin her life. I didn't have a clue, I didn't have a clue about mental health issues. I didn't have a clue. I was so I was scared, because obviously I'm confronted with this stuff. Never seen anything like it before. So I was trying to get her to come with me to go to hospital, to see someone, but she was saying, no, they'll take Sadie away. You don't understand. That's the whole plan. Finally, I got her to A&E, and they sent her away. within those 3 days, I called, or 8 different times. The police went to her flat. They saw her curled up in a ball on the floor. And they said it was just a welfare check for my granddaughter, and they left. I called social services. I even went to her own GP with my niece, begged the GP for help. The GP said unless she comes to them for help, she's entitled to be mentally ill in her own home. Unless she hurts herself or Sadie, there's nothing they can do. And she was finally seen on the 29th of December by the so-called mental health team, who interviewed her for a very short time and decided she was well enough to have Sadie back, and didn't see her ever again. But the psychotic episodes continued, up and down, up and down. But as I say, we couldn't get any help for her. They left her for 6 days with no, after sort of threatening to kill 3 people, really, herself, her daughter and her aunt. And then on the 18th of February, she took my granddaughter and she jumped under a train.
I'm so sorry.
And they were both killed instantly.
Wow.
Really sorry. I mean, you spoke about numerous signs and signals, and you mentioned this on, in last month's episode. You said that you've never experienced mental health in your family, so you didn't really know what it was, but you knew something was wrong.
It was so clear something was wrong, even in the months leading up to it. On one of the allegations that she made was a really serious allegation against, a child. So I'd called social services at that point. That was back in October, and I even said to them, I think something's wrong. These allegations she's making against people are getting more and more serious, and something's not right. But I couldn't put my finger on what it was, and she kept losing jobs. I think she had 11 or 12 jobs in a 2-year period, and she'd work for a month and say, they were either racist or they didn't like her, they were talking about her, and there was always being an excuse. She never sort of stayed for longer than a month, and then she'd leave. And then she'd get another job, and the same, in just repetitive, that these people were talking about her. So I knew something wasn't right, but you can't, unless you know, you don't know.
Well, this is it, yeah.
And
so, I mean, in regards to, obviously, you said, the police was involved, you went to the hospital, and I remember...
Twice I took her to A&E.
Yeah, and also there was a period that she kept on continuously going to the hospital to do an HIV check.
She had, 7 HIV tests between the beginning of December and February when she died.
And it didn't really...
Didn't flag it up, didn't flag it up. In the end, they were refusing to see her at the clinic, but still didn't flag it up with anybody that this lady keeps coming back here, there's something wrong.
But it's something that was quite crucial, which you mentioned just a moment ago, in terms of the police coming to her home, seeing her in that state, and saying it's okay for her to be this way because she's at home, but she had her daughter there.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, was for them, I mean, what was the police's
they said it
response
was
to
a
that?
child welfare check. Well, I mean, I've not even heard from the police or the social services at all since this happened. I've heard from the mental health team, as I was explaining to Janelle earlier, the day that it happened late at night when she jumped, and early in the morning they hadn't even confirmed it was them. And I got a call from the mental health team to give their condolences for Leighane and Sadie, and it hadn't even been confirmed that it was them. It was actually the mental health team that told me it was my daughter and granddaughter.
So they're confirming, and you don't even know.
I know.
But
No. And they offered then help they said, we're phoning really to offer condolences and to give help to the rest of your family if you need it.
so what happened to the help and support that you need beforehand?
This is the thing.
Yeah.
I won't say what I said because we're on TV, but that was the end of that
what you
one.
said, yeah.
Way too little, too late. I mean, we spoke about this earlier, Yvette. A catalogue of failures. It's not just one. It's not just one agency.
No.
Multiple failures.
Even her own GP.
With
Her own
multiple
GP. She
agencies.
told me to stop crying because I was in. By that stage, I had nowhere else to go. I was crying, begging the GP, please. She is going to kill herself. She's going to kill my granddaughter. And she said to me, stop crying, go home and support your daughter. That's exactly what she said.
So would you say that is because they obviously want to shove that responsibility on you rather than...
Yeah, she told me she couldn't intervene. She said she needs to come and get help herself. I said, but she doesn't know she's ill. She believes that this life, she kept calling it a life hack. Somebody had put a life hack on her, and people had been paid a lot of money to kill her. I even had recordings of her, because I started to record her because I thought, you know, this would help them, you know, to believe. Because when she went to see them on the 29th, the mental health team, she behaved perfectly, and they deemed her fit to go home. But I've since found out that that's quite normal. When they present in front of doctors or anyone that they think is part of the force, as she called it, they present as perfectly sane and perfectly normal. But my argument to that is they should know that. They should know that. And to never contact her again. They gave her a self-referral form. Now, if you believe you're not ill, you're never going to self-refer.
Yeah.
And she'll probably think it's all part of the force.
Yes.
Yeah.
To capture some details, to send a form off. So of course she's not going to fill out that form. But I think what is so tragic about the whole thing, I mean, it's clear that, you know, as I say, at every hurdle you will fail. But what's so tragic is this is your daughter. This is some, you know, a human being that you've raised, that you know, that you know in and out. Who better to turn around and say something's not right, she's ill, than a mother?
And there is a section in the Mental Health Act, although, you know, Dr. Lawrence that was on your show did say it's rarely used because it was designed for the Orkney Isles where they couldn't find a social worker. But that section 2 of the Mental Health Act is called nearest relative, and that nearest relative entitles the next of kin or the nearest person to them to say to the mental health team they are ill and they need assessment, and they are then duty bound to do a 72-hour assessment, which is a proper assessment where they keep them for 72 hours, and they can't present as normal for 72 hours if they're ill. So, you know, had that been told to me at that time, I would have demanded that section be used, but they don't advertise that section.
But then this is the thing, because you've actually given live recording, you've shown recording of behaviour and everything else. So to me, that is you going back to that section, you know, to say this is what's happening. You're portraying the evidence in front of them. But obviously, it sounds as if they're maybe not equipped to know that themselves.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So, because even recently in The Guardian, it was talking about the amount of nurses within the mental health. They're just going. Do you know what I mean? They just don't have...
I think the figure was like
6,000.
6,000.
Yeah, 6,000.
6,000 have
throughout
left
10 years.
Over the 10 years. And I think that's because my theory on that is that a lot of people start out with this passion where they want to help and they want to make change, so where better than to work within the mental health system. And then they're disappointed when they get there and they realise there's no money, that they can't do this, they can't help this person because they, you know, there's protocols they've got to follow, there's not enough, you know, money in the system to help who they want to help, and they end up, I think, feeling disappointed.
Of course. So with that being said, what would you like to see change, you know, in terms of the actual services that's been provided from the government?
My first is that section 2. That section 2 needs to be obligatory. You know, it needs, when a family member goes to a GP, to the hospital, to anywhere else, you know, they should explain to that family member that section 2 is available and it should be used. And if, you know, sign on this form and we will do a 72-hour assessment. You know, a lot of people have said to me, you know, well, people could just be malicious. I mean, how often is that really going to happen in reality? It's not going to happen. But you know, it has to be a family member or a person who is closest to them, just to cover the malicious side of things. But, you know, if you have 10 malicious and you save one life, it's worth it.
It's worth it. Absolutely, it's definitely worth it.
And, you know, through all of this, which again I explained earlier, you know, where the inquest and stuff is concerned, there's a good chance my daughter now is going to go down as a murderer. Because the inquest will, you know, the most likely verdict is going to be suicide and unlawful killing, which then her memory, she's left as murderer.
So is that because they're trying to... So it's basically so that it just basically takes the heat off them, really?
Because there's no other verdict. There's no other verdict.
But surely, with all the evidence that you have provided, do you know what I mean? It will be recorded, you've got the footage on your phone, etc. How can they then...
The trouble is, it comes down to whether they could have prevented her jumping in front of the train on that very night. And if it gets to, well, they could say even if we gave her treatment, she still might have done it. But it doesn't matter that even if they'd given her the treatment, she might not have. She might have, the psychosis could have been, whether it be through medication or even counselling, and all it took. There's also another programme which I only found out about through Coronation Street, believe it or not, that there is a community team that if there is any doubt on whether they're mentally ill, they come out every day to see them.
Wow.
That wasn't even offered to me. And I only found out about that literally the other night watching Coronation Street.
Wow.
I mean, it's funny you mentioned the whole Coronation Street thing, because sometimes, we can ridicule soaps, etc. But actually, to be able to see real life examples or stuff that people can be going through in a soap, but you went to the authorities and you didn't get it from them.
They get it straight away.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, Leah, who was on the previous episode, Leah Charles King, she said the same thing. She knew that she was suffering from something more than depression.
Yeah.
And she saw Stacey Slater's behaviour on EastEnders, and that's when it resonated with her, even though she'd been to her GP time and time again. It shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to watch the telly to, watch a fictitious.
You
soap.
shouldn't have to keep repeatedly going back to your GP to beg for help.
No.
You shouldn't have to do that, and to leave. My biggest anger with them is from the 23rd. When the big episode happened, and I reported it, and I was on the phone to 111, I was on the phone to the police, I was on the phone, everywhere I could even think that my brain, because I was frightened. And they left her for those 6 days, a woman, as I said, who threatened 3 people's lives, out in the community. Had she gone out and committed, a mass killing or a mass, she would be all over the news, and they still wouldn't admit their failings.
No.
But they left a woman for 6 days before assessment, and then even after assessment did not contact her again.
Just left her.
Just left her. Yeah.
Wasn't
With a 3-year-old child.
And that's what is so like everything, it's really just very upsetting.
Yeah.
But with all of that being said, what is it that you want to say to like family, loved ones that are potentially experiencing certain things? What would you say to them in terms of looking at the signs, etc.? Because obviously you shared on last month's episode. Yeah. But if you don't mind just sharing to our viewers.
Just odd behaviour. Any odd, even if it's, because Leighane was a real bright, bubbly, fun-loving. She'd get up and dance at, the drop of the hat. She loved, she was just so happy all the time. And I didn't spot it at first because slowly she went downhill. It was such a slow decline. But the minute they talk out of sorts, or even, start accusing people of things, just anything that's not normally them, that's the time I think you need to step in and just say, but if you come across a massive psychotic episode, I all I can say to you is just keep calling 999, keep going back to that hospital, keep banging on the door, it didn't help me, but it might help somebody else.
But the thing is, what's different is you've got additional information. That information is being shared.
Yeah.
So guys, please do take note. If you are really concerned about a loved one, something is not normal, please don't ignore it. We don't want to have another case like this, a tragedy because the system has failed. The system is there to help us, but obviously we need that information. We have shared that on the show. So with that being said,
well, I just wanted to add actually, Kaz, because I think, like you said, it's, you see the signs and don't ignore them and keep pushing. But I just wanted to really commend Yvette and her family and Tim, because we spoke about the fact that it's been so hard in trying to save your daughter, but actually you're not stopping here.
No, absolutely not.
And what you're doing...
I have the name of every social worker, every mental health worker, and once all the inquest is over, and I'm not stopping there. They are all going to be exposed one by one. Even the name of the police officers that knocked on her door. That everybody that took a decision and played a part are all responsible for the end result. And what I'd like to ask them, if I really could, if I could sit them all, because they all won't sit round a table with me for some reason, you know, is if this was your family member, would you have been happy with the treatment that she'd received? You know, if I had, you know, a family member that worked in mental health or worked in, I would have got star treatment. You know, it's definitely who you know that gets you the treatment for mental health, and that is wrong. That is wrong. I mean, every single person should be treated like they're your own family member, and their mindset is wrong when they're dealing with patients.
But what I wanted to add was this. Even though you feel that, you know, because there was something that you mentioned in last month's episode, and guys, please, if you haven't watched it, please do check it out. It is quite lengthy, but it's very insightful. Is that, just lost my trail of thought. You felt that you failed your daughter, but you're not failing her because you're helping save so many other lives. You're helping to support those family units that have no awareness because, like yourself, they wasn't share the information which you know now, and because
I was
of that,
scared
you're
to
doing
keep
this.
reporting her in the end because she stopped trusting me. After I'd reported and the police came and everything else, and she had to go for that assessment, she was trying to shut me out then because I was part of this force. She was telling me, she wouldn't call them voices, she was saying the messages was saying to her, the only person you can trust is your mum. The only person you can, that's why she came to me, and I'd let her down because I'd reported her. So after that time, I was then scared to report her because I thought if they don't do anything again and she shuts me out, I can't monitor the situation, I can't monitor my grandchild. And that was the only reason why I couldn't keep reporting. I even took her to church in the end, just for her to find some peace and someone that she could trust and rely on. But, you know, we planned to go to the church on the following Sunday, literally the night before, and we didn't get there. The next day she did it. I think the voices just got too loud.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And like Kaz said, you didn't fail. You didn't, because you did everything
hard
you
to
could.
accept that,
I know,
it really
but
is
you did everything you could, and I think it's important in sharing your story for those watching out there to know, first of all, that you can't give up. But these are the hurdles that you might face.
Yeah. It's always shoulda, coulda, woulda, isn't it?
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Always.
But you know what? Back to what I was saying, what I really admire about you is your strength. I mean, this is still really raw, but your strength in campaigning to change this.
Yep.
You were failed
Yeah. 100%.
devastatingly
Full
by
stop.
multiple
Full stop.
agencies. Not one, not two, multiple agents.
Absolutely.
Every hurdle.
Yep.
You weren't listened to, and that's why. I believe that's why we are here today. And you said, you know, they could have said, well, maybe if they did treat her, maybe she still would have done it. The difference is that they would have tried.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And I would have accepted it.
Yeah.
I would have accepted it if they'd tried, at least something was tried. And the only thing she came away from that one short assessment was a self-referral form for somebody who didn't know that they were ill. That's just crazy. That's got to change. That's got to stop. You can't, you know. Who would make up, you know, something so serious about their child, you know, about all the things she was doing? I told them everything. I mean, everything. I played recordings down the phone to them. Still didn't make any difference.
Well, the change is going to start from here.
Absolutely.
It's going to start from here.
I won't stop until it changes.
And we will do, won't we, Kaz?
We'll do everything that we
can
can to support you.
Thank
Definitely.
you. Thank you so much.
So we just want to thank you both.
Thank you.
And we know we didn't get to hear much from you. We know you said you wanted to come and support Yvette and being on the show. But, you know, from a male perspective as well, how has this affected you as well? Would you say?
Yeah, it's broken me down in like little pieces because of like just going over the ways of how she was to how she then became and how it ended. Because there shouldn't have been really an ending towards her life, but there should have been help and the right organisation with people that could have got her treated really than to be lost in her own little way of how she was feeling, to be honest. The indecisiveness that she was under as well of what to do, where to go, where to get help from, was all frantic within herself, you know, so it's...
We guarded her, you know, it was 24/7 guarding. We took it in turns between myself and my niece. she's, you know, she slipped away from us.
Well, I mean, you know, nothing we can say or do is going to bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm, you know, I'm a very spiritual person. We both are.
Yeah.
And I know that, I mean, she's so beautiful. Both of them are stunning. And just radiates, you know, in that photo. And I know that she is looking at Mum now.
I hope so.
Can I just say on your birthday as well?
Yes.
Because we got a little surprise for you.
Yes, we have.
So we want to say thank you so much for coming on, but also happy birthday.
Thank you.
And yeah.
There you
Thank
go.
you
That's
so
from
much.
us.
That's
for
from
the
us.
tea.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. They're beautiful. Look, thank you.
But
Thank
yeah, Leighane is, she's proud of you.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm proud of her.
And it's not in vain. It
Yeah,
really isn't.
I'm proud of her. I'll never stop being proud of her. And she fought. She just couldn't fight anymore.
Yeah.
And guys, I just want you guys who are watching just to understand this, that you look at Leighane, beautiful, vibrant, young lady, life ahead of her. How much of us is walking around looking just like we consider to be normal, but so much of us actually suffering in silence? So please do check up on one another. You know, if you notice anything just seems abnormal, please just check up on your loved one. If you haven't heard from somebody, check up on them. Go around there, go and see them. Don't be just messaging them and just, you know, social media and everything else. Verbally, have that verbal communication. Pick up the phone or just pop around just to make sure that person is okay. Wow, what a touching story. But guys, I have some great news to share. As this is a platform to inspire, we want to inspire in all ways. We have some new features within the show. We have a fashion segment. We also got a fitness segment to keep you guys looking amazing, let you know what's going on around the world in regards to the fashion with Chantal. Chantal from Mamau, the lovely lady that's been dressing us all the time when you've seen us looking extremely fly. And also Andre. Andre is a fitness guy out there. I mean, this guy is the bomb.com. So if you want to keep fit, you need to stay with us. So we'll see you in a bit.
Greetings, beloved family community out there in social media world.
Yes, so for a father's love, and it's a brilliant day. A mixture of music, workshop, fun, games, activities, pure vibes in the place.
Choose on to one here today. I'm here today to support the work the Father's Department is doing, the other organisations mentioned today. Because actually you hear a lot about what fathers are not doing. You hear a lot about what they are doing wrong. But actually, this space says we validate, we acknowledge, and we salute the men and fathers that are doing what fathers are meant to do, and empowering their young men and raising their young daughters to do how things too.
I use the word API, acknowledge, praise, and inspire. So the youth them acknowledge them because they're walking by, not having us as the elders stopping them and saying, yo, what's going on, young master? You know, praise them, let them know what you see in them, the greatness, and inspire that. You know, inspire that means, you know what, this is my business card, or this is what I do, or meet me here next week, you know? So all of these things, you know, API is a term that I like to use, you know. Simple as that. Simple wisdom. Right.
So here at the Now Chat Show, we have been getting involved with everything mental health, because it is Mental Health Awareness Week. So people have often asked me, like, how could they, you know, boost their well-being around their mental health with fashion? So I would say I have actually 3 tips. And before I even get into that, there is this philosophy of, you know, color psychology. And I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but I do really feel that when you wear certain colors, it does boost up your morale, it does boost up your energy and how you feel about yourself. But there are other things as well that you can do, and they're quite practical tips. So I would say, number 1, always choose garments or an outfit that really fit you well. And that you feel comfortable in. If it doesn't fit you well, then you're not going to feel good about yourself. You're going to be Like for me, I'm quite busty, so I have to have something that fits very well on me around my bust. So I don't want to be constantly fidgeting with it and then thinking, oh my God, what do I look like? You want to feel comfortable and make sure it fits you correctly. And number 2 is choose colors that suit you, that complement you. You know, if you've worn an outfit before and you've got previous comments from them, like positive comments, wear them again. Just maybe jazz it up and change it up a little bit. And if you ever get stuck with anything, just email me and I will hook you up.
People outside our community who see certain images of black males that are negative. Well, here is something that is positive, and these black men have got jobs just like you. Yeah, they're going to, they've got bills just like you, and they've got children just like you. So they're giving their take on fatherhood just like you. So it's also for us to be shown in a way that is normal, not abnormal, that is normal. And that's actually why I call it fathers rather than black fathers.
Sound rolling, cameras rolling, fatherhood documentary.
Thanks, guys, and welcome to Now Chat Show Fitness. I'm Andre. This week, we're going to focus on mental health. I often get asked the question, which exercise is best for mental health? My response is, well, first of all, set a bit of background. There are many types of exercise. You have strength training, which you use weights and other resistance equipment. You've also got agility type exercises. So team sports, where you run around, high speed, change of direction. You've also got some holistic type exercises, such as yoga and Pilates. The best, most effective exercise, which many studies have shown, is aerobic exercise, which is steady state, repeated slow, low intensity type exercise, which pumps oxygen in the blood around the body much more effectively. It lifts the brain fog. For added benefits, take your workout outside, where open space, natural oxygen, and greenery will lift your mood even more. Always prepare your workouts in advance so you know exactly what you're going to do and exactly how you're going to prepare and warm up. My top tip is always start with some mindful preparation where you set an intention and just relax the body. You want to perform a warm-up that you've planned ahead of time. Reason why we take a warm-up is so that we prepare the body for exercise gently, which reduces the chances of raising cortisol levels, the nasty stress hormone. That's what we don't want. We want to ease the body into it nice and gradually so that we get more of the positive effects of the workout that you're trying to perform. Stretching before and after exercise relieves more tension in the body, further boosting the positive effects of your workout. Last point from me to remember is lack of exercise has a detrimental effect on your current mood, but also over a prolonged period of time can actually have detrimental effects on your mental health. So please get moving and keep moving.
So until next time, we just want to say thank you once again for both for coming onto the show. And for anyone that is watching and has been affected by today's episode, please know that you do not have to suffer in silence, as I mentioned before. You can contact the Samaritans on 116 112 or Mind info line on 0300 123 3393.
And you can also contact Childline as well for any young people watching out there, or actually for anybody who has fears over a child, and that's 0800 1111.
So until next time, thank you for watching, and all this information is on our website. So make sure you share and subscribe. Until next time, peace out.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
You are the key. It's only natural. Woman, you are the start. You are the beginning. And that is a problem. That is a problem. Yes, it is a problem, but not